In our Eye on Earth series, a bipartisan group of senators is announcing new action on climate change, only on CBS this morning. Some prominent Republicans are joining Democrats to address the crisis. Scientists warn climate change could have dire consequences and soon. Nancy Cordes spoke with members of both parties on an issue Democrats often champion, while Republicans typically push aside. She's on Capitol Hill. Nancy, what changed?
Well, the biggest thing that changed, Anthony, is public opinion. It has evolved rather quickly, and most Americans, according to the polls, now view climate change as a major threat. The question is, can this new bipartisan group get past the political divide that still exists here in Congress on this issue? From the Arctic to the Amazon, the floods, flames, and melting ice are impossible to ignore. Now, even in Congress, the climate is changing.
We look a bit like Neanderthals. It's real. We've got to take action.
Utah's Mitt Romney is one of 4 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 1 independent who just joined the Senate's first bipartisan climate caucus.
My expectation is that we will start by listening.
It's the brainchild of Delaware Democrat Chris Coons and Indiana Republican Mike Braun.
I've got 4 kids. Took a poll among them. What do you think about this idea? They love it.
A departure from the climate science skepticism the GOP has embraced in recent years.
All of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax.
I do not believe that human activity is causing these dramatic changes to our climate.
It's very, very cold out, very unseasonal. So here, Mr. President, catch this.
There are still some Republican senators who think that cold winter weather is a sign that the climate isn't changing.
I think science is more and more clear, and I think people will either be convinced or not as time goes on.
You know, I think many probably just were not willing to say it, but to me it's chemistry and physics, and I'm not going to deny that.
Democrat Jeanne Shaheen can already see the impacts in New Hampshire.
Our ski industry is affected, our snowmobiling, our maple sugaring industry, so many things that people can see.
Have all of you seen changes in your own states?
Absolutely. It's
Yes.
striking in Delaware just how much it's impacting everything from sports fishing, commercial fishing.
How you doing?
Their first move, a meeting with CEOs, some of them pushing a carbon tax. It's an early test of the group's ambition and clout.
If we go there right away, I think we'll probably be doing the whole thing a disservice.
Do you have to cap or at the very least discourage emissions in order to make a difference?
Oh, I'm not going to say any have to with regards to climate. I think all the ideals will be on the table.
There's a dozen different areas where we are hopeful that there is some low-hanging fruit that can be moved forward on a bipartisan basis.
Maine's Angus King says strength in numbers will help.
My philosophy is let's take small steps, find some things we can succeed on.
Scientists insist nations must act now with millions at risk from rising temperatures and sea levels. And with the crisis threatening to cut the U.S. economy by up to 10% by century's end, these senators hope Congress can catch up.
I do believe that old saying is true, which is when they feel the heat, they'll see the light. People who might otherwise be more inclined to slow things down are going to say, we've got to respond. The group wants to introduce legislation by next year, but they have a challenge in winning over the White House, which just began the process of withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accords this week and has rolled back dozens of environmental rules, Tony, since taking office 3 years ago.
Yeah, Nancy, they've got a potential blockade there at the White House. They've also got to win over the rest of Congress, but it is a start, and that's good news. Nancy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And they also sit down for an exclusive. I always like when that happens. But what I like more than anything is that it's bipartisan.
Yes,
it shows that people really can get along and work together.
Yeah, well, when what's at stake is the future of all of us on this planet. But it's got to take something. Nancy, thank you again. We